Hello, this is Professor Brown-Sederberg, and I'd like to demonstrate a sequential if statements. And sequential if statements are just a series of if statements. Each one is asked. The asking of a subsequent if statement does not depend on the answer received for a prior one. So here I've outlined the beginning of a program, and you'll see that it's called DemoSequentialIfStatements. And what I've done is I've imported java.util.scanner, and I've created an instance of the class scanner called keyboard. I've declared a string, and I've named it S, and I've declared this int named score and given it an initial value of 0. We'll come back to that in a bit. Now what I'll do is I'll simply ask the user to enter in a string. Actually, what I'd like to do is I'd like to just ask them to enter in one word. And what I'll do is I'll just ask them for word, and I'm going to determine if that's the word I'm looking for. So let's assume that the word I'm looking for is dog, D-O-G. So I'm just going to ask them to enter a word. Now I can grab what they give me and put it into S using keyboard dot next line or next, because I'm just interested in the next word, remember, and next will get the next word. Next line gets the whole line. I'll take next line because that'll preclude me from having to flush the line later on if I added code after this. Alright, so let me get that from the user as I have here, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to see if the first character is a D, the second character an O, the third character a G. And if those characters are right, if the first character is D, the second O, the third G, I'll know that they have entered the word I'm looking for, and that's dog. So I'll have these if statements, and it would be simply that, is it true that the character of the string S, that is the character at position 0, is equal to the character D? That's my question, my condition. If that's true, I want to take an action. You see, in this example, I want to see if the user entered in DOG. Well, that's where my score comes in. What I'll do if this is true, that is, if the character at position 0 is equal to D, I will simply plus score. So if the first character is D, I'll add 1 to score. Now we know that this single line is associated with this if statement, so if this condition of value is true, this line will be executed. But I know that good programming requires that I put curly brackets around that single line in case I add one later on. Now I'm really going to have a second if statement that'll simply be if s.char at, and now I'm looking at position 1, if that's equal to the character O, and notice that these are single characters, so it's just a single quotation mark. That's a character. It's just a single character. Right? And if that's true, I will plus score. I'll do the same, and I'll cheat a little bit and copy this. And so I know that if the character at position 2 is equal to G, I'll plus score. These are 3 independent if statements. The asking of a subsequent one doesn't depend on the answer received for a prior one. What I want to do is determine if the user entered DOG. So what I'll have to do now is I'll look at the value of score. So if it's true that score is equal to 3, that is, they got a value for a D and an O and a G, that is, I incremented score, I increased it by 1. If score is equal to 3, I know that they entered the correct word, and so I can print that to the screen. And I'll just say correct. This statement will only execute if this score, if this comes back true, that is, score is equal to 3. And notice that these are the comparators, an equal sign, double equal sign. Right? Single equal sign is assignment, double equal sign is comparator. So let's compile this, and we'll save it first. We'll compile it. We'll run it. I'll enter in dog. I'm correct. I enter in cat. I have nothing. And that's what I expect. So this has been a demonstration of sequential if statements. The asking of a subsequent if statement doesn't depend on the answer received for a prior one.